Good morning, everyone. Watch Woman Warrior here. It is February 19th, 2022, and it is Saturday, the Sabbath. I hope you guys have a blessed Sabbath day today. And I would ask that you pray for me because, I've been having medical problems for a while, and they found out recently that I have a cyst in my brain. They call it a cyst. I think it's a tumor because it's definitely progressed since they found it about a month, maybe a little bit more than a month ago. And I've been having more symptoms. Now I have a constant twitch in my lower right eye, and sometimes it spreads to other parts of my face. And yesterday my head started hurting me on the left side, and weird body spasms and such. So could you pray that God has mercy on me, continues to have mercy, and that, I don't suffer too much, I guess you could say. And also pray that no matter what my symptoms, He still uses me, and I still have the strength to continue doing exactly what I'm doing now and reaching other people for Him until the day I take my last breath. For I am a knight of Christ and a warrior of God, and I will not give up. And He knows this. And I know that our weakness is His strength, and I know that our infirmities are purification, and things that we go through. When we suffer, He uses us to help others. Look how the Lord suffered, and He saved billions and trillions of people through faith. Okay, I'm going to start with prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day. Thank you so much for us being here and being alive so you can use us to do your will. Thank you, Lord God, so much for your many blessings, our food and our water, and the roof over our head and the clothes on our back, and the food that we eat. And Lord, I want to pray for those out there that may not have shelter and clothes and food. I want to pray that you send them a minister of any sort from your hands to them. And Lord, I pray that you bless them with abundance of joy and peace. I pray that somebody somewhere lets them know that they're not alone and loves them as you do, so they can find you and be saved and live in peace for the rest of their days. Heavenly Father, I want to pray over everyone right now, for your destruction is upon the world. Your judgments and wrath are upon the world right now. We are about ready to enter the Great Tribulation. I want to pray over everyone, Lord, a hedge of protection against the wicked ones, the armor of God upon them all, so when it is time to stand, they do all they can to stand. I thank you, Lord God, so much for your truth, because without your truth, we would never be free. Guide our steps this day by your word, and let no iniquity have dominion over us. We love you, we praise you, and we thank you so much. In your precious Son's, Christ the Lord's mighty name. Amen. All right. Now, I do have my cup of tea here. I cut down the caffeine. I went from coffee to tea to see if it helps with my spasms and stuff that's going on in my brain. But I had me it's good. It's raspberry with honey. Green tea mixed with raspberry tea with honey for sweetener and a smidge of cream. It's just delicious. I absolutely think it's just fascinatingly delicious. I love it. It's amazing how tasty natural things are. Like, they come right out the ground. It's honestly, the most delicious food I've ever tasted in my life is like all natural. stuff you get from your garden and you cook in your stove, on your fire, whatever. Okay, now we're going to go to Proverbs 19 for today. And before I go to it, I'm going to read this here. Okay, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that gives to all men liberally, and upbraids not, and it shall be given him. James chapter 1, verse 5. Excuse me, I thought it was gives to all men freely. Alright, well, maybe it means the same exact thing. Okay. Better is the poor that walks in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool. Also that the soul be without knowledge, it is not good. And he that hastes with his feet sins. The foolishness of man perverts his way, and his heart frets against the Lord. Wealth makes many friends, but the poor is separated from his neighbor. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaks lies shall not escape. Many will entreat the favor of the prince, and every man is a friend to him that gives gifts. All the brethren of the poor do hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He pursues them with words, yet they are wanting to him. He that gets wisdom loves his own soul. He that keeps understanding shall find good. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaks lies shall perish. Delight is not seemly for a fool, much less for a servant to have rule over princes. The discretion of a man defers his anger, and it is his glory to pass over transgression. The king's wrath is as the roaring of a lion, but his favor is as the dew upon the grass. A foolish son is the calamity of his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dropping. Houses and riches are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent wife is from the Lord. Slothfulness casts into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. He that keeps the commandment keeps his own soul, but he that despises his ways shall die. He that has pity upon the poor lends unto the Lord, and that which he has given will he pay him again. Chasten your son while there is hope, and let not your soul spare for his crying. A man of great wrath shall suffer punishment, for if you deliver him, yet you must do it again. Hear counsel and receive instruction, that you may be wise in your latter end. There are many devices in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. The desire of a man is his kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar. The fear of the Lord tends to life, and he that has it shall abide satisfied. He shall not be visited with evil. A slothful man hides his hand in his bosom, and will not so much as bring it to his mouth again. Smite a scorner, and the simple will beware, and reprove one that has understanding, and he will understand knowledge. He that wastes his father and chases away his mother is a son that causes shame and brings reproach. Cease, my son, to hear the instruction that causes to err from the words of knowledge. An ungodly witness scorns judgment, and the mouth of the wicked devours iniquity. Judgments are prepared for scorners, and stripes for the back of fools. Amen to that. Okay. Heavenly Father, guide our steps by your word, and let no iniquity have a dominion over us. Job 22. Job. I wonder if this story is a reference to me and my situation, or if this is Just there's a message in here that I'm not sure of yet. All right. Job chapter 22. Okay. Then Eliphaz and the Temanite answered and said, that's weird. I've never heard of a Temanite other than in the story of Job. I just realized that. I don't even know where the Temanites are from, but Eliphaz is supposed to be one of Job's friends that, talk crap back to him. Okay. Must be they were extinct a long time ago or something. Okay. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, can a man be profitable unto God, as he that is wise may be profitable unto himself? Is any pleasure to the Almighty that thou art righteous? Or is it gain to him that thou makest thy ways perfect? Will he reprove thee for fear of thee? Will he enter thee into judgment? Is not thy wickedness great, and thine iniquities infinite? For thou hast taken a pledge from thy brother for nothing, and stripped the naked of their clothing. Thou hast not given water to the weary to drink, and thou hast withholden bread from the hungry. But as for the mighty man, he has the earth, and the honorable man dwells in it. Thou hast sent widows away empty, and the arms of the fatherless have been broken. Therefore snares are round about thee, and sudden fear troubles thee, or darkness that thou canst not see, and abundance of waters cover thee. Is not God in the height of heaven? And behold, the height of stars, how high they are. And thou sayest, how does God know? Can he judge through the dark cloud? Thick clouds are a covering to him, that he sees not, and he walks in the circuit of heaven. Hast thou marked the old way which wicked men have trodden, which were cut down out of time, whose foundation was overflown with a flood, which said unto God, depart from us, and what can the Almighty do for them? Yet he filled their houses with good things, but the counsel of the wicked is far from me. The righteous see it and are glad, and the innocent laugh them to scorn. Whereas our substance is not cut down, but the remnant of them the fire consumes. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace, thereby good shall come unto thee. Receive, I pray thee, the law from his mouth, and lay up his words in your heart. If you return to the Almighty, you shall be built up. You shall put away iniquity far from your tabernacles. Then shall you lay up gold as dust, and the gold of Ophir as the stones of the brooks. Yes, the Almighty shall be your defense, and you shall have plenty of silver. For then shall you have your delight in the Almighty, and shall lift up your face unto God. You shall make your prayer unto him, and he shall hear thee, and thou shalt pay thy vows. Thou shalt also decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee, and the light shall shine upon thy ways. When men are cast down, then thou shalt say, there is lifting up, and he shall save the humble person. He shall deliver the island of the innocent, and it is delivered by the pureness of your hands. Excuse me. I might keep going. But here he's accusing Job of these wicked things. And he's telling him to return and repent and turn to God, and everything will be fine. But Job lost everything because Satan went before God and said, let me tempt him and show you that if I do and I do these things, he'll curse you. All right. And then Job answered and said, even today is my complaint bitter. My stroke is heavier than my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his seat. I would order my cause before him, and fill my mouth with arguments. I would know the words which he would answer me, and understand what he would say unto me. Will he plead against me with his great power? No, but he would put strength in me. There the righteous might dispute with him. So should I be delivered forever from my judgment. Behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward, but I cannot perceive him. On the left hand, where he does work, but I cannot behold him. He hides himself on the right hand, that I cannot see him. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tried me, I shall come forth as gold. My foot has held his steps. His way have I kept, and not declined. Neither have I gone back from the commandment of his lips. I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my more than my necessary food. But he is in one mind, and who can turn him? And what his soul desires, even that he does. For he performs the thing that is appointed for me, and many such things are with him. Therefore I am troubled at his presence. When I consider, I am afraid of him. For God makes my heart soft, and the Almighty troubles me. Because I was not cut off before the darkness, neither has he covered the darkness from my face. Why, seeing times are not hidden from the Almighty, do they that know him not see his days? Some remove the landmarks. They violently take away flocks, and feed thereof. They drive away the asses of the fatherless. They take the widow's ox for a pledge. They turn the needy out of the way. The poor of the earth hide themselves together. Behold, as wild asses in the desert go they forth to their work, rising betimes for a prey. The wilderness yields food for them and for their children. They reap everyone as corn in the field, and they gather the vintage of the wicked. They cause the naked to lodge without clothing, and they have no covering in the cold. They are wet with showers of the mountains, and embrace the rocks for want of a shelter. They pluck the fatherless from the breast, and take a pledge of the poor. They cause him to go naked without clothing, and they take away the sheaf from the hungry, which make oil within their walls, and tread their winepresses, and suffer thirst. Men groan from out of the city, and the soul of the wounded cries out, yet God lays not folly to them. They are of those that rebel against the light. They know not the ways thereof, nor abide in the paths thereof. The murderer rising with the light kills the poor and needy, and in the night is as a thief. The eye also of the adulterer waits for the twilight, saying, no eye shall see me, and disguises his face. In the dark they dig through houses which they had marked for themselves. In the daytime they know not the light. For the morning is to them even as a shadow of death. If one know them, they are in the terrors of the shadow of death. He is swift as the waters. Their portion is cursed in the earth. He beholds not the way of the vineyards. Drought and heat consume the snow waters. So does the grave those which have sinned. The womb shall forget him. The worm shall feed sweetly on him. He shall be no more remembered, and wickedness shall be broken as a tree. He evil entreats the barren that bears not, and does not good to the widow. He draws also the mighty with his power. He rises up, and no man is sure of life. Though it be given him to be in safety, whereon he rests, yet his eyes are upon their ways. They are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. They are taken out of the way as all other, and cut off as the tops of the ears of corn. And if it be not so now, who will make me a liar, and make my speech nothing worth? See, Job was talking about, in his day, was the same exact thing we have going on today. When he lost his children and everything, it wasn't just because this and that and the other happened. It's because of the wicked that were in power in those days, seeked out and destroyed everything. Like the Antichrist was in power in Israel at this time. And that's why Satan went to the throne and was tempting, or wanted Job to be tempted and stuff to see if he would curse God. Because pretty much Satan was like having a little bit of a heyday going on at that point in time. And it sounds just like today. Like, as swift as the waters, his portion is cursed in the earth. He beholds not the way of the vineyards. Drought and heat consume the snow water. So does the grave those which have sinned. Actually, right now we're getting ready to go through floods. But it's been, like a third of the earth has been burning for the past year. It's like talking about taking the fatherless out of the breast. It's like abortions and murdering children and stuff for Baal. Let's see what else comes. Last chapter. Then answered Bildad and the Shuhite and said, see, there's another one that must be they got extinguished or something. Dominion and fear are with him. He makes peace in his high places. Is there any number of his armies, and upon whom does not his light arise? How then can a man be justified with God, or how can he be clean that is born of a woman? Excuse me. Behold, even the moon, and it shines not. Yes, the stars are not pure in his sight. Even to the moon, and it shines not. Yes, the stars are not pure in his sight. How much less than that is a worm? How much less man that is a worm, and the son of man which is a worm? The moon will turn to blood, and the stars will not shine. Sounds similar here too, doesn't it? Like they went, like I said, God repeats his cleansing process. He does the same things over and over again. Like right now, it is the Sabbath day, right? I'm looking out my window right now, and we literally it looks like a blizzard outside because of what God's doing. The earth is in labor. The earth's weather is in labor. The earth's in bipolar mode, as the doctors would say. And she's giving birth to the pits of hell as we speak. Like, that's what all this is about. This is why all this is happening. But Job answered and said, how hast thou helped him that is without power? How savest thou the arm that has no strength? I took a drink of tea. Actually, I want to see something real quick. How hast thou helped him that is without power? How savest thou the arm that has no strength? So his friends are giving homage to like the Antichrist in this, because they're upholding what they're saying. And he's talking here about how the wicked are ruling the world right now, and they're claiming they can save and stuff, but at the same time they're violently taking away the flocks and stuff, and drive away the ass of the fatherless. They take the widow's ox for a pledge. They turn needy out of the way. The poor and earth hide themselves together. Where was it? Causing the naked, pluck the fatherless from the breast and take a pledge of the poor. That'd be like abortion. Make oil with their walls and tread their winepresses and suffer thirst. Talking about the people that are being enslaved by the beast system back then. And God lays not folly to them. Talking about the wicked ones ruling and doing all this wickedness. And he's upset because God hasn't done anything about it. And that's why all this evil's come upon him. And Job does never curse God, but he is saying, hey, you're sitting there telling me I've done wrong. But yet these guys, these wicked, pardon my language to some people, but these wicked bastards out there are getting away with what they're doing, and you should know it's evil. But it seems like his friends here are supporting. Dominion and fear with him, he makes peace in his high places. Is there any number of his armies, and upon whom does not his light arise? How then can man be justified with God, or how can he be clean that is born of woman? It's almost like they're saying, it's like they're mocking him. It's like they're mocking the fact that Job knows about the wickedness and rule, and he's calling it out, and they're just like, yeah, just like in our day today. Just like in our day today. Like those out there who have been vexed, calling people like me and others that want to have our own decision over our own body because we don't want it, calling us stupid for standing up for our rights. My own family thinks that me standing up and saying, no, I'm not co-parenting with the government. No, I'm not injecting myself with God only knows what that is. Like, he's already shown me, like, pretty much exactly what it is. But still, I there's no way. And for them to literally try and make us take it, having my own family who's supposed to believe in God tell me that I'm stupid and I need to get a life because I stand up for my God-given unalienable rights. That's crazy sounding. But yet we see it right here with Job. Job literally lost everything because of the wickedness in the world. The wickedness came and destroyed everything that he had, to the point his own wife told him to curse God. And right here he tells him, how have you helped him that is without power? How do you save the arm that has no strength? Because they're like pretty much saying, well, we're with the guy that's in rule right now, and we're going to follow him. And he's like, but how are you going to be able to do anything with this dude? He's nothing. Like we read it a second ago. The worms will feed on him, and he'll be nothing in the end. Okay, how have you counseled him that has no wisdom? And how have you plentifully declared the things that it is, as it is? To whom have you uttered words, and whose spirit came from you? Dead things are formed from under the waters, and the inhabitants thereof. Hell is naked before him, and destruction has no covering. He stretches out the north over the empty place, and hangs the earth upon nothing. Now he's talking about God. He binds up the waters in his thick clouds, and in the clouds is not rend under him. He holds back the face of his throne and spreads his cloud upon it. He has compassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. The pillars of heaven tremble and are astonished at his reproof. He divides the sea with his power, and by his understanding he smites through the proud. By his spear he has garnished the heavens. His hand has formed the crooked serpent. Lo, these are parts of his ways, but how little a portion is heard of him. But the thunder of his power, who can understand? Moreover, Job continued his parable and said, I don't see how it's a parable, but okay. As God lives, who has taken away my judgment, and the Almighty who has vexed my soul. All the while my breath is in me, and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils. My lips shall not speak wickedness, nor my tongue utter deceit. God forbid that I should justify you till I die. I will not remove my integrity from me. My righteousness I hold fast, and I will not let it go. My heart shall not reproach me so long as I live. Let my enemy be as the wicked, and he that rises up against me as the unrighteous. For what is the hope of the hypocrisy, though he has gained, when God takes away his soul? Will God hear his cry when trouble comes upon him? Will he delight himself in the Almighty? Will he always call upon God? I will teach you by the hand of God that which is with the Almighty will I not conceal. Behold, all ye yourselves have seen it. Why then are ye thus altogether vain? In other words, he's like, you've seen everything that's going on out there, so why are you being vain? This is the portion of a wicked man with God, and the heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty. If his children be multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. Oh, okay. So he's letting them know this. You see what's happening to me? This is coming to them and more. Let this be a testament to what's going to happen to them, just like with me and what I am going through and what anybody out there is suffering through who believes and calls upon the name of the Lord God Almighty. If we suffer and stuff, it's because we suffer to save others. And some of us, as Job was, is a testament to the wicked as to, if this can come upon me, loving the God that created me, this is, imagine what's going to come upon you. Because this isn't happening to me because I went against God. This is happening to me to purify me. But what's coming unto the wicked, it's unspeakable, honestly. Okay. Those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widows shall not weep. Though he heap up silver as the dust, and prepare raiment as the clay, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. He builds, see right here is another verse that says that he will take the wicked and destroy the wicked, and the remnant will be left behind. Well, it's not left behind because, we didn't go anywhere. Nobody went anywhere other than they just died, So everybody talked about we're going to get sucked up out of here. No. Great tribulation's coming. We're going to see it. We're going to see the fall of Babylon. We're going to see the wicked destroy each other and themselves. We're going to see God take them out through his amazing power, just like he did throughout the whole Bible. And once he's taken care and removed the wicked, like parable, Matthew 13, 24 through 43, the parable of the wheat and tares. The tares are the wicked ones, and they are taken and bound for the fire first. Then the righteous shine forth as the remnant. He may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. He builds his house as a moth, and as a booth that the keeper makes. The rich man shall lie down, but he shall not be gathered. He opens his eyes, and he is not. See? Lie down, shall not be gathered. We will be gathered together. Because I already told you, he already had me tell you. The last Exodus is coming. The great tribulation is when the last Exodus will be. That's why in the Bible it talks about he makes war with the remnant, and he wages war with them, and he seeks them out to kill them. As sheep for the slaughter. And in the end, unless this part already happened, and the way they put in there it sounds different, in the end, we will lay dead in the streets for 3 days, and then we'll rise on the third day when the Lord returns. But if that already happened when the Lord died on the cross and they were going through purging everybody, then it's not quite time yet. Sorry, hang on one second. That's the emergency phone for the blizzard we're having. Okay, let me turn this down. Vibration. Okay. Sorry, it's like every 15 minutes, it seems like, since 9 o'clock, I think it was, we've been having warnings about weather. Okay. He builds his house as a moth, and as a booth that the keeper makes. A rich man shall lie down, but shall not be gathered. He opens his eyes, and he is not. Terrors take hold on him as waters. A tempest steals him away in the night. The east wind carries him away, and he departs, and as a storm hurls him out of his place. For God shall cast upon him, and not spare. He would fain flee out of his hand. Men shall clap their hands at him, and shall hiss him out of his place. He literally saw. Job is telling them this because God showed him what he's going to do to the wicked. Just like he did me. Just like he did others. I never actually realized that God gave him revelations of what was coming to the wicked in the book of Job. Until now. Surely there is a vein for the silver, and a place for the gold where they find it. Iron is taken out of the earth, and brass is molten out of the stone. And see, and they tried to say that, like, it's so primitive back then. Well, iron is taken out of the earth, and brass is molten out of the stone. So, of course, we kind of know they already had that. So, but still, sorry. When I read this, it was like in my mind, how all the pyramids and stuff that we find in all the ancient places that they're starting to find that were destroyed by God a long time ago. And how they're like, oh, it must be aliens from outer space came and built the pyramids because they're just so perfect. Really? It's like these castles that were built 1,000 years ago by the hands of man, that were by the hands of man, are still standing. And you like to, but they think it was so primitive back then. Sorry, got a little sidetracked there. He sets an end to darkness and searches out all perfection. The stones of darkness and the shadow of death. The flood breaks out from the inhabitant, even the waters forgotten of the foot. They are dried up, they are gone away from men. As for the earth, out of it comes bread, and under it is turned up as it were fire. See? Knowledge. Look at the knowledge they had back then. They knew about volcanoes and stuff. As for the earth, out of it comes bread, which is, wheat. And under it is turned up as it were fire. The The stones of it are a place of sapphires, and it has dust of gold. Interesting. There's a path which you'll find in volcanoes. There's a path which no fowl knows, and which the vulture's eye has not seen. The lion's whelps have not trodden it, nor the fierce lion passed by it. He puts forth his hand upon the rock. He overthrows the mountains by the roots. He cuts out rivers among the rocks, and his eye sees every precious thing. He binds the floods from overflowing, and the thing that is hid brings he forth to light. But where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Man knows not the price thereof, neither is it found in the land of the living. The depth says, it is not in me, and the sea says, it is not with me. It cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof. It cannot be valued with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx or the sapphire. The gold and the crystal cannot equal it, and the exchange of it shall not be for jewels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or of pearls, for the price of wisdom is above rubies. The topaz of Ethiopia shall not equal it, neither shall it be valued with pure gold. It's like he's calling them out of their lust and love for money and power over God. Whence then comes wisdom? And where is the place of understanding? So he's telling them we can't buy it and stuff like that. So where can you tell me where you find wisdom and where you find understanding? Of course, we all know the only answer for that is the God Almighty. Seeing it is hid from the eyes of all living, and kept close from the fowls of the air. Destruction and death say, we have heard the fame thereof with our ears. God understands the way thereof, and he knows the place thereof. For he looks to the ends of the earth and sees under the whole heaven, to make the weight for the winds, and he weighs the waters by measure. When he made a decree for the rain, and a way for the lightning of the thunder, then did he see it and declare it. He prepared it, yes, and searched it out. And unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom. And to depart from evil is understanding. So the fear of the Lord is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. Moreover, Job continued his parable and said, oh, that I were as in months past, months, jeepers. Oh, that I were in months past, as in the days when God preserved me, when his candle shined upon my head, and when by his light I walked through darkness. As I was in the days of my youth, when the secret of God was upon my tabernacle, when the Almighty was yet with me, when my children were about me, when I washed my steps with butter, and the rock poured me out rivers of oil. When I went out to the gate through the city, and when I prepared my seat in the street, the young men saw me and hid themselves, and the aged rose and stood up. The princes refrained talking and laid their hand on their mouth. The nobles hold their peace, and their tongue cleaved to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard me, then it blessed me, and when the eye saw me, it gave witness to me. Because I delivered the poor that cries, and the fatherless, and him that had none to help him. The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me. I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My judgment was as a robe and a diadem. I was eyes to the blind, and feet was I to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and the cause which I knew not I searched out. I brake the jaws of the wicked, and plucked the spoil out of his teeth. Then I said, I shall die in my nest, and I shall multiply my days as the sand. My root was spread out by the waters, and the dew lay all night upon my branch. My glory was fresh in me, and my bow was renewed in my hand. Unto me men gave ear, and waited, and kept silent at my counsel. After my words they spoke not again, and my speech dropped upon them. And they waited for me as for the rain, and they opened their mouth wide as for the latter rain. If I laughed on them, they believed it not, and the light of my countenance they cast not down. I chose out their way, and sat chief, and dwelt as a king in the army, as one that comforts the mourners. But now they are younger than I. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Yes, whereunto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes, and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven from among men, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, in the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yes, children of base men, they were viler than the earth. And now am I their song? Yes, I am their byword. They abhor me, they flee far from me, and spare not to spit in my face. Because he has loosed my cords and afflicted me, they have also let loose the bridle before me. Upon my right hand rise the youth. They push away my feet, and they raise up against me the ways of their destruction. They mar my path. They set forward my calamity. They have no helper. They mar my path. It's like the dream I had where that person was laying dragon statues in our path before us. Oh my goodness, I wonder if that's what that dream was about. Also, the march. The march. The people who are marching for our God-given rights. I wonder if that represented the path in my dream, and the dragons are the wicked ones out there trying to cause them to look as they say they are, and it's not working. I don't know what became of the dream, though, because it only lasted a few seconds, and that's all I got. What was the one I had right after that? I'll pray about that after I get done with this. Okay. Oh, maybe he'll give me more, because I did maybe the dreams I had, like even the other one, because I was in a group of people, and I knew we were together, and we were doing a purpose, but I didn't know exactly what. And I was in it. I was in the second one. The first one, I don't know if I was in it, but like, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry. All right, they mar my path and set forward my calamity. They have no helper. They came upon me as a wide breaking in of waters. In the desolation they rolled themselves upon me. Terrors are turned upon me. They pursue my soul as the wind, and my welfare passes away as a cloud. Like he's talking about how the wicked ones came and did what they did. And now my soul is poured out upon me, and the days of affliction have taken hold upon me. My bones are pierced in me, and in the night season, and my sinews take no rest. By the great force of my disease is my garment changed. It binds me about as the color of my coat. He has cast me into the mire, and I am become like dust and ashes. I cry unto thee, and thou dost not hear me. I stand up, and thou regardest me not. Thou art become cruel to me. With thy strong hand thou opposest thyself against me. Thou liftest me up to the wind. Thou cast me right upon it, and dissolvest my substance. For I know that thou wilt bring me to death, and to the house appointed for all living. Howbeit he will not stretch out his hand to the grave, though they cry in his destruction. Did not I weep for him that was in trouble? Was not my soul grieved for the poor? When I looked for good, then evil came unto me. And when I waited for light, there came darkness. My bowels boiled and rested not. The days of affliction prevented me. I went mourning without the sun. I stood up and I cried in the congregation. I am a brother to dragons and a companion to owls. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. My harp also is turned to mourning, and my organ unto the voice of them that weep. I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? For what portion of God is there from above, and what inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Is not destruction to the wicked, and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity? Does not he see my ways and count all my steps? If I have walked with vanity, or if my foot has had hasted to deceit, let me be weighed in an even balance, that God may know my integrity. If my step is turned out of the way, and my heart walks after my eyes, and if any blot has cleaved to my hands, then let me sow, and let another eat. Yes, let my offspring be rooted out. If my heart have been deceived by a woman, or if I had laid wait at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind into another, and let others bow down upon her. For this is a heinous crime. Yes, it is an iniquity to be punished by the judges. For it is a fire that consumes to destruction, and would root out all my increase. If I did despise the cause of my manservant or of my maidservant when they contended with me, what then shall I do when God raises up? And when he visits, what shall I answer him? Did not he that made me in the womb make him? And did not one fashion us in the womb? If I have withheld the poor from their desire, or have caused the eyes of the widow to fail, or have eaten my morsel myself alone, and the fatherless had not eat thereof, if I have seen any perish for want of clothing, or any poor without covering, if his loins have not blessed me, and if he were not warm with the fleece of my sheep, if I have lifted up my hand against the fatherless, when I saw my help in the gate, then let my arm fall from my shoulder blade, and my arm be broken from the bone. For destruction from God is a terror to me, and by reason of his highness I could not endure. If I have made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, thou art my confidence, if I have rejoiced because of my wealth was great, and because my hand had gotten much, if I beheld the sun when it shined, or the moon walking in brightness, and my heart had seen secretly enticed, or my mouth had kissed my hand, this also were iniquity to be punished by the judge, for I should have denied the God that is above. If I rejoice at the destruction of him that hates me, or lifted up myself when evil found him, neither have I suffered my mouth to sin, by wishing a curse to his soul. If the man of my tabernacle says not, oh, that we had of his flesh, we cannot be satisfied. The stranger did not lodge in the street, but I opened my doors to the traveler. If I covered my transgressions as Adam, by hiding my iniquity in my bosom, did I fear a great multitude? Or did the contempt of families terrify me, that I kept silent, and went not out of the door? Oh, that one would hear me! Behold, my desire is that the Almighty would answer me, and that my adversary had written a book. Surely I would take it upon my shoulder and bind it as a crown to me. I would declare unto him the number of my steps, as a prince would I go near unto him. If my land cry against me, or the furrows likewise thereof complain, if I have eaten the fruits thereof without money, or have caused the owners thereof to lose their life, let thistles grow instead of wheat, and cockle instead of barley. The words of Job are ended. So these three men ceased to answer Job, because he was righteous in his own eyes, because they saw him as righteous in his own eyes. Then was kindled the wrath of Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite, another one that we never hear of anymore, of the kindred of Ram, never heard of that one either. Against Job was his wrath kindled, because he justified himself rather than God. They're totally backwards. Also against these three friends was his wrath kindled, because they had found no answer, and yet had condemned Job. Now Elihu had waited till Job had spoken, because they were elder than he. When Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these three men, then his wrath was kindled. And Elihu the son of Barachel and the Buzite answered and said, I am young, and you are very old. Wherefore I was afraid, and durst not show you my opinion. I said they should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom. But there is a spirit man, and the inspiration of the Almighty gives him understanding. Great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment. Therefore I said, hearken to me, I also will show my opinion. Behold, I waited for your words. I gave ear to your reason, while you searched out what to say. Yes, I attended unto you, and behold, there was none of you that convinced Job or that answered his words. Lest you should say, we have found out wisdom. God thrusts him down, not man. Now he has not directed his words against me, neither will I answer him with your speeches. They were amazed. They answered no more. They left off speaking. When I had waited, I said, I will answer also my part. I also will show my opinion, for I am full of matter. The spirit within me constrains me. Behold, my belly is wine which has no vent. It is ready to burst like new bottles. I will speak that I may be refreshed. I will open my lips and answer. Let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person, neither let me give flattering titles unto man. For I know not to give flattering titles. In so doing, my Maker would soon take me away. Wherefore, Job, I pray thee, hear my speeches, and hearken unto all my words. Behold, now I have opened my mouth. My tongue has spoken in my mouth. My words shall be of the uprightness of my heart, and my lips shall utter knowledge clearly. The Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty has given me life. If thou canst hear me, set thy words in order before me, stand up. Behold, I am according to thy wish in God's stead. I also am formed out of the clay. Behold, my terror shall not make thee afraid, neither shall my hand be heavy upon thee. Surely thou hast spoken in my hearing, and I have heard the voice of thy words, saying, I am clean without transgression, I am innocent, neither is there any iniquity in me. Behold, he finds occasions against me, he counts me for his enemy. He puts my feet in the stocks, he marks all my paths. Behold, in this thou art not just. I will answer thee, that God is greater than man. Why do you strive against him? For he gives not account of any of his matters. For God speaks once, yes, twice, yet men perceive it not. In a dream and a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls upon men, in slumbering upon the bed. Then he opens the ears of men and seals their instruction, that he may withdraw a man from his purpose and hide pride from man. He keeps back his soul from the pit, and his life from perishing by the sword. He is chastened also with the pain upon his bed, and the multitude of his bones with strong pain, so that his life abhors bread, and his soul dainty meat. His flesh is consumed away, and it cannot be seen, and his bones that were not seen stick out. Yes, his soul draws near into the grave, and his life to the destroyers. If there be a messenger with him, an interpreter, one among 1,000, to show unto man his uprightness, then he is gracious unto him, and says, Deliver him from going down to the pit. I have found a ransom. His flesh shall be fresher than a child's. He shall return to the days of his youth. He shall pray unto God, and he will be favorable unto him, and he shall see his face with joy. For he will render unto man his righteousness. He looked upon men. Sorry, I had to move a chair. He looked upon men, and if any say, I have sinned, and perverted that which was right, and it profit me not, he will deliver his soul from going into the pit, and his life shall see the light. Lo, all these things works God oftentimes with man, to bring back his soul from the pit, to be enlightened with the light of the living. Mark well, O Job, hearken unto me. Hold thy peace, and I will speak. Okay. For I desire to justify thee. If not, hearken unto me. Hold thy peace, and I shall teach thee wisdom. Chapter 33 has only 33 verses. Interesting. Furthermore, Elihu answered and said, Hear my words, O ye wise men, and give ear unto me, ye that have knowledge. Let me see something real quick. Who's messaging? Okay. Sorry about that. My phone kept vibrating. I want to make sure it wasn't something important. Okay. For the ear tries words as the mouth tastes meat. Wait. Hear my words, O ye wise men, give ear unto me. Okay. Let us choose to us judgment. Let us know among ourselves what is good. For Job has said, I am righteous, and God has taken away my judgment. Should I lie against my right? My wound is incurable without transgression. What man is like Job, who drinks up scorning like water, which goes in company with the workers of iniquity and with the wicked? Which goes in company with the workers of iniquity and walks with the wicked men. For he has said, it profits a man nothing, that he should delight himself with God. Job never said that. Therefore hearken unto me, ye men of understanding. Far be it from God that he should do wickedness, and from the Almighty that he should commit iniquity. For the work of a man shall be he render unto him, and cause every man to find according to his ways. Yet surely God will not do wickedly, neither will the Almighty pervert judgment. Who has given him a charge over the earth, or has disposed the whole world? If he set his heart upon man, if he gather unto himself his spirit and his breath, all flesh shall perish together, and man shall turn again into dust. If now thou hast understanding, hear this. Hearken to the voice of my words. Shall even he that has right govern? And will thou condemn him that is most just? Is it fit to say to a king, thou art wicked, and to a prince, ye are ungodly? See, that he's trying to justify those in power in that day. Because he's like, oh, well, God put him in power, so he can't be wicked. No, wrong. Because that's why Israel got destroyed over and over and over again, and Jerusalem and Judah and all that. Because they worship devils and were doing terrible abominations that only Satan loves to do. Okay, how much less to him that accepts not the persons of princes, nor regards the rich more than the poor, for they all are the work of his hands. In a moment shall they die, and the people shall be troubled at midnight, and pass away, and the mighty shall be taken away without hand. For his eyes are upon the ways of man, and he sees all his doings. See right here. In a moment shall they die, and the people shall be troubled at midnight. Like he says, I will come as a thief in the night. It shines from one end of heaven to the other end of heaven. One will be in the bed, one will be taken, and the other left. They shall die, and people shall be troubled at midnight and pass away. And the mighty shall be taken away without hand. Yeah, they're not going to be raptured. God's going to take them out. For his eyes are upon the ways of man, and he sees all his goings. There is no darkness nor shadow of death where the workers of iniquity may hide themselves. For he will not lay upon man more than right, that he should enter into judgment with God. He shall break in pieces mighty men without number, and set others in their stead. Therefore he knows their works, and he overthrows them in the night, so that they are destroyed. Like it says, Babylon will fall in 1 hour. Probably at midnight, probably in the middle of the night, when they least expect it. Therefore he knows their works, and he overturns them in the night, so that they are destroyed. He strikes them as wicked men in the open sight of others, because they turned back from him, and would not consider any of his ways, so that they cause the cry of the poor to come unto him, and he hears the cry of the afflicted. When he gives quietness, who then can make trouble? And when he hides his face, who then can behold him? Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only, that the hypocrite reign not, lest the people be ensnared. Surely it is meant to be said unto God, I have borne chastisement, I will not offend any more. That which I see not, teach thou me. If I have done iniquity, I will do no more. Should it be according to thy mind? He will recompense it, whether thou refuse or whether thou choose, and not I. Therefore speak what thou knowest. Let men of understanding tell me, and let a wise man hearken unto me. Job has spoken without knowledge, and his words are without wisdom. My desire is that Job may be tried unto the end because of his answers for wicked men. For he adds rebellion unto his sin, and claps his hands among us, and multiplies his words against God. He spoke moreover and said, Thinkest thou this to be right, that thou sayest, My righteousness is more than God's? For thou sayest, What advantage will it be unto thee? And what profit shall I have if I be cleansed from my sin? I will answer thee, and thy companions with thee. Look into the heavens and see, and behold the clouds which are higher than you. If you sin, what does thou against him? Or if thy transgressions be multiplied, what dost thou unto him? If thou be righteous, what givest thou him? Or what receives he of thine hand? Thy wickedness may hurt a man as thou art, and thy righteousness may profit the Son of Man. By reason of the multitude of oppressions, they make the oppressed to cry. They cry out by reason of the arm of the mighty. But none says, where is God my Maker? Who gives songs in the night? Who teaches us more than the beasts of the earth, and makes us wiser than the fowls of heaven? There they cry, but none gives answer because of the pride of evil men. Surely God will not hear vanity, neither will the Almighty regard it. Although thou sayest thou shalt not see him, yet judgment is before him. Therefore trust thou in him. But now, because it is not so, he has visited in his anger, yet he knows it not in great extremity. Therefore does Job open his mouth in vain. He multiplies words without knowledge. And he proceeds to say, suffer me a little, and I will show thee that I have yet to speak on God's behalf. Man, this dude's long-winded, ain't he? It's been a while since I've read Job. Well, it hasn't been too long, because I just reread the Bible over again this, past year. I just finished it not too long ago. But yeah. I will fetch my knowledge from afar, and will ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For truly my word shall not be false. He that is perfect in knowledge is with me, or is with thee. Behold, God is mighty and despises not any. He is mighty in strength and wisdom. He preserves not the life of the wicked, but gives right to the poor. He withdraws not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings are they on the throne. Yes, he does establish them forever, and they are exalted. And if they be bound in fetters and be holden in cords of affliction, then he shows them their work and their transgressions that they have exceeded. Yeah, see, they're thinking, well, if you get in trouble, it's because you actually did wrong, not because somebody set you up like they've done through all the prophets. He opens also their ear to discipline, and commands that they return from iniquity. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasures. But if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. But the hypocrites in heart heap up wrath. They cry not when he binds them. They die in youth, and their life is among the unclean. He delivers the poor in his affliction, and opens their ears in oppression. Even so would he have removed thee out of the strait into a broad place, where there is no straightness, and that which should be set on thy table should be full of fatness. But thou hast fulfilled the judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold on thee. Because there is wrath, beware lest he take thee away with his stroke, then a great ransom cannot deliver thee. Will he esteem your riches? No, not gold, nor all the forces of strength. Desire not the night when people are cut off in their place. Take heed, regard not iniquity, for this hast thou chosen rather than affliction. Behold, God exalted by his power, who teaches like him? Who has joined him his way? Or who can say, thou hast wrought iniquity? Remember that thou magnify his work, which men behold. Every man may see it. Man may behold it afar off. Behold, God is great, and we know him not. Neither can the number of his years be searched out. For he makes small the drops of water. They pour down rain according to the vapor thereof, which the clouds do drop and distill upon man abundantly. Also, can any understand the spreading of the clouds or the noise of his tabernacle? Behold, he spreads his light upon it and covers the bottom of the sea. For by them judges he the people. He gives meat in abundance. With clouds he covers the light, and commends it not to shine by the cloud that comes betwixt. The noise thereof shows concerning it, the cattle also concerning the vapor. At this also my heart trembles, and is moved out of his place. Hear attentively the noise of his voice, and the sound that goes out of his mouth. He directs under the whole heaven, and is lighting unto the ends of the earth. After the voice roars, and he thunders with the voice of his excellency, and he will not stay them when his voice is heard. God thunders marvelously with his voice. Great things does he which we cannot comprehend. For he says to the snow, be thou on the earth, likewise to the small rain, and to the great rain of his strength. He seals up the hand of every man, that all men may know his work. Then the beasts go into dens, and remain in their places. Out of the south comes the whirlwind, and cold out of the north. By the breath of God frost is given, and the breath of the waters is straitened. Also by watering he wearies the thick cloud, and he scatters his bright cloud. It is turned around about by his counsels, that they may do whatsoever he commands them, upon the face of the world and the earth. He causes it to come, whether for correction or for his land, or for mercy. Hearken unto this, O Job. Stand still and consider the wondrous works of God. Dost thou know when God disposed them, and caused the light of his cloud to shine? Dost thou know the balancing of the clouds, the wondrous works of him which is perfect in knowledge? How thy garments are warm when he quiets the earth by the south wind? Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong and as a molten looking glass? Teach us what we shall say unto him, for we cannot order our speech by reason of darkness. Shall it be told him that I speak? If a man speak, surely he shall be swallowed up. And now men see not the bright light which is in the clouds, but the wind passes and cleanses them. Fair weather comes out of the north. With God is terrible majesty. Touching the Almighty, we cannot find him out. He is excellent in power, and in judgment, and in plenty of justice. He will not afflict. Men do therefore fear him. He respects not any that are wise of heart. Actually, I don't. Okay, never mind. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if you understand. Who has laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who has stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Or who shut up the sea with doors, when it brake forth as if it had issued out of the womb? When I made the cloud garment thereof, the thick darkness a swaddling band for it, and brake up for it my decreed place, and set bars and doors. Wait, hang on a second. Let me reread that for a second. And break up for it my decreed place, and set bars and doors, and said, Hitherto shalt thou come, but no further, and there shall thy proud waves be stayed. So he's literally talking about he set bars and doors for the water, like the doors in heaven and bars in the earth. Hast thou commanded the morning since thy days, and caused the day spring to know his place, that I might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it? It is turned as clay to the seal, and they stand as a garment. And from the wicked their light is withholden, and the high arm shall be broken. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea, or hast thou walked in the search of the depth? Have the gates of death been opened unto thee? Or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breath of the earth? Declare if thou knowest it all. Where is the way where light dwells? And as for darkness, where is the place thereof? That thou shouldest take it to the bound thereof, and that thou shouldest know the paths of the house thereof. Knowest thou it, because thou wast then born? Or because the number of thy days is great? Hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow? Or hast thou seen the treasures of the hail? Which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war. By what way is the light parted, which scatters the east wind upon the earth? Who has divided the watercourse for the overflowing of waters, or a way for the lighting of thunder? To cause it to rain on the earth where no man is, on the wilderness wherein there is no man. To satisfy the desolate and waste ground, to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth. Has the rain a father? Or who has begotten the drops of dew? Out of whose womb came the ice, and the hoary frost of heaven? Who has gathered it? The waters are hid as with a stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. Can thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or lose the bands of Orion? Pleiades and Orion, constellations. Can thou bind us the sweet influences of Pleiades, probably Pandora's box, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazaroth in his season? Who's Mazaroth? Or can thou guide Arcturus with his sons? Interesting. I'm going to look this up. Pleiades. Pleiades. Wait, no. I want the Google. Give me the Google. Oh my goodness, I forgot it already. Pleiades. 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 Orion. Ooh! Pleiades, also known as the Seven Sisters. Messier 45, other names by different cultures, and asterism, an open star cluster containing middle-aged, hot, B-type stars, and 444 light years. In the constellation of Taurus, which is the bull. So the worship of the bull came from the star Pleiades. What is the Pleiades myth? The 7 daughters of the Titan Atlas. So the fallen angels. He was forced to hold up the sky for eternity and was therefore unable to protect his daughters to save his sister, to save the sisters from being raped by the hunter Orion. Zeus transformed them into stars. Well, that's a good old story, but I wonder if the 7 stars... I don't know. He said these for a reason, and we know that they worshipped false gods and stuff. But the stars in the Bible represent the churches. And then the candle... There's 7 spirits of the 7 churches. There's 7 stars. There's 7 lampstands. And the stars are the churches. The influence of Pleiades. Or lose the bands of Orion. Sweet influences of Pleiades. Well, if he's saying Pleiades is a representation of the 7 spirit, like the 7 churches, and they just took it and made the pagan story about it, but really it started as the representation of the 7 spirits of God, like the 7 church, which became the 7 churches and stuff. Loose the bands of Orion. And that would explain why they said Orion was going to rape them, because Orion is also mentioned by God himself, and they want to pervert everything that God says is good. Belt of Orion. I want to see something about that. Lose the bands of Orion. Oh, my back. Back is like... I think my uterine cancer came back, and it's now spread to like my kidneys and my back, because I'm having a lot of back problems all of a sudden. Okay, go back. Related to Orion's belt and Pleiades. Oh, so they're... Wait. Where is Pleiades? Say it's in Orion's belt. Also known as the 3 kings or the 3 sisters. Alnitak, Alnilam, Mentaka. Make my head hurt more looking at all these. Okay, so what was the last one? Mazaroth. Mazaroth in a season. And this is what God's saying, so I'm like very interested. Mazaroth. Hebrew translation, Maserati. I wonder if that's where the Maserati came from. A biblical Hebrew word found in the book of, okay, and literally meaning constellations, according to 10th century biblical. Yeah, well, with all this they got going on here, I don't think it's the truth, because they're like going around the barn to answer the question. Bring Maseroth in his seasons. Well, he wouldn't be talking about just a constellation or constellations themselves. He's talking about specific. Found in what is Maseroth? What is a Maseroth? See. Wait. Was it Arcturus or whatever? Wait, oh, right here. Found in the book of Job, and literally meaning a garland of crowns. A garland of crowns. Maseroth as the name of the 12 signs of the zodiac. So Maseroth represents the 12 signs of the zodiac, and it means a garland of crowns. And look what we're dealing with today. The word corona itself means crown, or of high influence. And then we got Siri. We got stuff named after constellations. We got the Maserati. It's probably named after this. The 12 signs. Interesting. In his season. So I wonder if he's referring to the Antichrist. Or can you guide Arcturus with his sons? Arcturus. Red giant star in the northern hemisphere. Okay, let's do it this way. Who's Arcturus in Greek mythology? Because it says, and his sons. Etymology and cultural significance, the occult. The traditional name Arcturus is derived from ancient Greek, means guardian of the bear and his sons. So he's talking about the Antichrist and his sons. On the left knee of herdsmen. No. What is the myth? About to shoot and kill his own mother, Callisto, who had been transformed to a bear. Alright, we're gonna go this way then. Wait, what? No. I don't care about the story. I'm talking about the myth, guys. I want the mythology stuff. You call it mythology, but it's in the Bible, therefore it can't be too much of a myth. You guys call it myth because you don't want us to know about all your satanic worship and stuff. It's not a star. Well, it's a star in the heavens, yes, but it is named after somebody, something. Nymph, bear together with her sons. Bear keeper. Oh, it's in Canis Major. dog. The knee of Orion. This is Orion, right? Wait. Looks like it's supposed to be. Or is this the... The Herdsmen and His Sons. Herdsmen. Maybe Arcturus is a representation of the Antichrist, and his sons is like the son of perdition and the false prophet. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Can thou guide Arcturus with his sons? Guide. Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Can thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? Can thou lift up thy voice in the clouds, that abundance of waters may cover thee? Can thou send lightnings that they may go, and say unto thee, Here we are? Who has put wisdom in the inward parts? Who has given understanding to the heart? Who can number the clouds in wisdom, or who can stay the bottles of heaven? When the dust grows into hardness, and the clouds cleave fast together, wilt thou hunt the prey for the lion, or fill the appetite of the young lions, when they couch in their dens, and abide in the covert to lie in wait? Who provides for the raven his food, when his young ones cry unto God? They wander for lack of meat. Knowest thou the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth? Or can thou mark when the hens do calf? Can thou number the maws that they fulfill? Can thou number the months that they fulfill? Or knowest thou the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves, they bring forth their young ones, they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are in good liking, they grow up with corn, they go forth and return not unto them. Who has sent out the wild ass free? Who has loosed the bands of the wild ass? Whose house have I made the wilderness, and the barren land his dwellings? He scorns the multitude of the city, neither regards he the cry of the driver. The range of the mountains is his pasture, and he searches after every green thing. Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee, or abide by thy crib? Can thou bind the unicorn with his band in furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after thee? Wilt thou trust him, because his strength is great? Or thou cleave thy labor to him? Or will thou leave thy labor to him? Wilt thou believe him, that he will bring home thy seed, and gather it into thy barn? Gavest thou the goodly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which leaves her eggs in the earth, and warms them in dust, and forgets that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them? She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labors in vain without fear, because God has deprived her of wisdom, neither has he imparted to her understanding. Flamingo's beautiful, but yet he says that he's deprived her of wisdom, and he has not departed to her understanding. What time she lifts up herself on high, she scorns the horse and his rider. Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder? Hast thou made him afraid as a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils is terrible. He paws in the valley and rejoices in his strength. He goes on to meet the armed men. He mocks at fear and is not afraid. Neither turn he back from the sword. The quiver rattles against him, the glittering spear and the shield. He swallows the ground with fierceness and rage, neither believes he that it is the sound of the trumpet. He says among the trumpets, Ha, ha, and he smells the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. Does the hawk fly by thy wisdom, and stretch her wings toward the south? Does the eagle mount up at thy command, and make her nest on high? She dwells and abides on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, in the strong place.
From thence she sees the prey, and her eyes behold afar off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is she. Moreover, the Lord answered Job and said, Shall he that contends with the Almighty instruct him? He that reproves God, let him answer it. Then Job answered the Lord and said, Behold, I am vile. What shall I answer thee? I will lay my hand upon my mouth. Once I have spoken, I will not answer. Yes, twice, but I will proceed no further. Then answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind and said, Gird up thy loins now like a man. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. Wilt thou also disannul my judgment? Wilt thou condemn me, that thou mayest be righteous? Hast thou an arm like God, or canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Deck thyself now with majesty and excellency, and array thyself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage of thy wrath, and behold every one that is proud, and abase him. Look on every one that is proud, and bring him low. Tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. Then will I also confess unto thee that thine own right hand can save thee. Behold now Behemoth, which I made with thee. He eats grass as an ox. Lo now, his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He moves his tail like a cedar, and the sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are strong as pieces of brass. His bones are like the bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of God. He that made him can make his sword to approach unto him. Surely the mountains bring him forth wood, where all the beasts of the field play. He lies under the shady trees in the covert of the reed and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadow. The willows of the brook compass him about. Behold, he drinks up a river and hastes not. He trusts that he can draw up Jordan unto his mouth. He takes it with his eyes. His nose pierces through snares. Can thou draw out Leviathan with an hook? See, the behemoth are dinosaurs. Can thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make any supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird? Or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Can thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him. Remember the battle. Do no more. Behold, the hope of him is vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who has prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. Who can discover the face of his garment, or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are as his pride, shut up together as with a close seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another, they stick together that they cannot be sundered. By his knees sings a light does shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of morning. Out of his mouth goes burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goes smoke, and out of a seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goes out of his mouth. It sounds like he's talking about a dragon, doesn't it? I think he is, yeah. He's talking about a dragon. Leviathan is a dragon. Behemoth is a dragon. Shall I say dinosaur? See, I think that, like, back in the day, remember how way back, they talked about how in the fairy tales that there were horse riders and dragon riders and stuff, and how there was a war against the dragons and how all the dragons were slayed. I honestly believe that's true because the dragons are spoken of in the Bible and unicorns are spoken of in the Bible. Like the Leviathan is the water dragon. The Chinese worship the dragons still to this day. They remember they did exist, and they know they did exist, and they worship the fact that they did exist, and they worship Satan, which is the great dragon. So, like he's talking here, like he's literally talking about a dragon. He's telling Job to go kill the wicked. Out of his nostrils goes smoke as out of seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindles coals, and flames goes out of his mouth. In his neck remains strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together. They are firm in themselves. They cannot be moved. It's weird he said joy before him. His heart is as firm as a stone. Yes, his heart as hard as a piece of nether millstone. Nether millstone. You know, the pits. The hellstones. When he raises up himself, the mighty are afraid. By reason of breakings, they purify themselves. See, that's so strange, because up here he's talking about the Leviathan and stuff. And then he's telling him to, like, go after him. And then he's, like, talking. It makes me wonder if they didn't mess with this story, too. Okay. Who can open the doors of his... Okay. The heart is as firm as a stone. Yes, as hard as a piece of the nether millstone. When he raises him up himself, the mighty are afraid. By reason of breakings, they purify themselves. The sword of him that lays at him cannot hold. The spear, the dart, nor the habergeon. Nor the habergeon? He esteems iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. Darts are counted as stubble. He laughs at the shaking of his spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreads sharp-pointed things upon the mire. He makes the deep boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a pot of ointment. He makes a path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. Upon earth there is not his like, who is made without fear. He beholds all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from thee. Who is he that hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore have I uttered that I understand not. Things too wonderful for me, which I know not. Hear, I beseech thee, and I will speak. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees thee. Wherefore I abhor myself, and repent in the dust and ashes. And it was so, that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said unto Eliphaz the Temanite, My wrath is kindled against thee, and against thy two friends. For ye have not spoken of me the things that is right, as my servant Job has. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, and that ye have not spoken of me the things which is right, like my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went. I remember, maybe he was in there before I turned it. Okay, and did according to the Lord commanded them, and the Lord also accepted Job. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there to him all his brethren, and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him, and comforted him for all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one had an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep, and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Karen-happuch. And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died, being old and full of days. Oh, amen to that, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for opening us up to Job today and me reading it again, because I definitely noticed some new things, and I definitely love to learn new things. And this is what we're going to go through, guys. We're going to go through things like Job did. Only I know I'm not perfect. I would never call myself righteous, because I could never be perfect nor righteous if it wasn't for the Lord who died for me. I would never be able to enter into heaven, even if I don't do anything wrong against God, because I don't, if I don't have Christ, if I don't have Him to stand with me before God, there's no way I could ever enter in. And we're going to lose a lot, but we're only going to lose those things that are not important. And those things that we lose that we are going to be sorrowful and mourn over. I promise you, and He promises you, there is a good divine reason. So please, don't let the wicked get you down. Because as Job's story was, so ours shall be. We will be persecuted and reviled and accused of being terrorists and being wicked. But God knows who we are in our hearts and in our minds and in our souls. Do not fret, my children, He says. Do not be afraid, for the Lord is ever with you. And He says, have I not commanded you to be strong and of good courage? Do not be afraid or dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wheresoever you go. Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. You guys have a great day. I love you, and I'm praying for you all. May God have mercy for us, on us in the storm. Sun is shining beautiful, but the winds are terrible. God bless, Godspeed. Until next time we meet.